the economic blockade, which does everything to inform the Iranians that they cannot survive without the big powers, without being part of the world order. They cannot do whatever they want.
Shlomo Gordon here, reporting from Jerusalem for InfoWars. I'm here with Oded Yinon, the man behind the Zionist plan for the Middle East. So, Oded, has anyone ever even tried to interview you?
No, not that I remember of. Maybe a year ago, someone from the New York Times, but she asked me why I written this article, since it might cause more anti-Semitism than they have. So I told her it's nothing to do with it. It's about the Middle East, and that was the end of the conversation. That's the only interview.
So, in your words, what is the Yinon plan? I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, all over the world, they interpreted an article I've written 30, 40 years ago, and I never called them the Yinon plan or strategic plan. I just described the realities of the Middle East as I've seen them at the end of the 70s and the 80s, in the aftermath of the Camp David Accords, because I believe it's not going to be a solution. Arabs, because when you get rid of all the territory, still their basic hostility will remain. So I just look at the map, at my studies in the Middle East department here in Hebrew, and I've realized that the really deep reality is that this structure and the whole splits and the whole actual reality in which you have small elements, small ethnic groups that really make up the core of Middle East politics and society. There's no higher loyalties than that, whether it's pan-Arabism that was already going down, and certainly not even pan-Islam that was rising at the time. And I simply made up my mind that at the end of it, all these present 22 countries, as Sykes-Picot Agreement, are not going to hold for long, because it started in Syria, in Yemen, in Libya. You have countries that are totally fractured, totally open, even Iraq. It can happen in Iran and Turkey, which have not just lots of minorities, the whole populations are split ethnically, religiously, to all types of Islam. The Christians are split, the Kurds are split. So except the state of Israel, which is 80% Jewish, the rest of the Middle East is not really built up to be like a nation state. Not dismemberment of Syria after 2011, which was a surprise to me, to everyone, because this was a very strong, solid regime and country, shows that that's the direction where the Middle East is going.
Do you think that there was intervention?
There is influence, but it's basically come within. You can see it in Iran. You see in the blogs of 700,000 Iranians who want freedom, liberty. They're unable to do much more than that. And that's what's happened in the Arab world, because they read English. They are part of the social networks, Facebook, and suddenly the whole world was open for them. And young people tend to see the truth and tend to believe that their future is in their own hands. And Israel, therefore, since last 20, 30 years, became a side issue, not the main reason for all this disruption and disturbances. It has nothing to do with it. Certainly not any agencies like Mossad.
They see Iran as a counterbalance to that Wahhabism that almost took over of Syria.
Well, that's true, but that kept the unity of the Syrian regime for the 3-4 years in which ISIS existed. Now, since ISIS doesn't exist anymore, we can see again that the basic splits and the basic hatred are all over there. Assad is not really the glue that makes Syria work together. The future is without Assad, and that's what's going to happen in Syria.
You don't think that Israel had an interest in regime changes in different places so that there would be leaders that we could make peace deals with?
No, it's contrary, because the Israelis themselves were afraid that if those countries will split up, whoever will be left to make peace with. Peace is a very important Israeli principle.
And you're basically the antithesis.
Yeah, because peace is not something that you gain by yourself. Israel is too small, the Jews are too few. Israel cannot affect peace in the Middle East.
So what do you think about the Iran deal and Trump exiting it?
Well, use it to gain some sort of influence, and especially to renew the economic blockade, which does everything to inform the Iranians that they cannot survive without the big powers, without being part of the world order. They cannot do whatever they want. And even their terrorism in the world is not going to continue.
Is this you with Ariel Sharon?
No. I never met him in my life.
You know who this is?
No. Probably somebody else.
What do you guys think? You think this is
No.
According to the internet, this is you.
Yeah, well, 30
And you were
years
his foreign minister. Were you his foreign
Yeah,
minister?
No.
No? Are you saying that you're not Zionist?
I am a Zionist, but in the pure terms of Herzl, dealing with its own reconstruction, its own nation build-up. That's Zionism, nothing to do with our neighbors. There's nothing
No,
we can
no
do
interfering
about
in foreign affairs.
Certainly, and no peace, no war whatsoever.
So you became pretty famous outside of Israel. In Israel, nobody really.
No.
In Israel, no one's really heard of you.
From Kamchatka to the Fireland in Argentina in 60 languages. They claim that I was the instigator of that policy, but it's never been a policy of anyone. It's the reality.
Is it possible that the peace agreements were a way of bringing the Americans?
Yeah, that's why it was
the
done.
Soviets?
Yes, but the Soviets were leaving anyway. The Americans wanted a position in the Middle East, and they now control most of the countries of the Middle East. And
you got here an article from America. Will come the solution to the demographic problem. You want to tell us about this a bit?
Well, I think that at the end of this century, most American Jews will come here because America is changing.
The polarization.
Liberal, conservative. The Jews will find themselves totally not on anyone's side, and this is an impossible situation. And that will really hurt their basic security. The feeling that America is the golden Medina, the place where, like in Brooklyn, the life of their own, independently, sovereignly. I think this is all over because
you talk here about a Christian Coptic state in Egypt.
Yeah, that can happen, but these people are very weak, politically weak. That's why they seek the help of Israel. No one in Israel is going to help them. They think the Mossad will arrange their new statism in Syria, Lebanon, or Egypt. If they don't do these things themselves, it will never really materialize. So,
from people on the internet. Yeah. Is Wahhabism a Jewish invention? Are the Wahhabis in Saudi clan crypto Jews?
Well, Wahhabism started 1774, even before the United States, and there were no Jews in Saudi Arabia at the time. And they were far away in Poland, so it's all magic. It's all.
Well, they claim that it was. He was from the Danme Jews in Turkey, that they were followed Shabbatite Tzvi.
Yeah, I know, I understand. That's 1648. It's nothing to do with
Elders
reality.
of Zion.
Yeah, you know, it's part
of
all
in Iraq. It was in Iraqi military intelligence.
Yeah, so that's what Iraqis intelligentsia. I'm not surprised. These people, this is what they're thinking they have. Egyptians, officers, Jordanian officers that come to Israel once in a while. Some of them talk in the same way. They really believe in this Jewish Zionist conspiracy, and they blame everything on the Jews. Many Turkish people, Turkish high officials, really think that the origins of what happened in the breakup, which led to the breakup of the Ottoman Empire, have to do with the Jewish conspiracy, which sends a Balfour over here and send Lawrence of Arabia to dismember the Middle East, although he did help the Arabs a lot. So all these conspiracy theories are so strong, so effective, and they go to the heads of the countries.
You don't think there's a grain of truth in any of them?
There is something. Let's say, if you really think in the past, I mean, who else but the Rothschild bought the Suez Canal for the British Empire, which was led not just by Queen Victoria, but the Prime Minister who happened to be Jewish, Benjamin Disraeli. Mm-hmm. So you can connect all these things together, and then again reflect that in 1882, a few years later, Rothschild were involved in buying the lands of Palestine for the Jews, because it's factual, it really happened. But it doesn't make it for a conspiracy, because the Jews had never any power on earth until they started building their own country.
What are the borders of the land of Israel?
Well, the existing borders are enough, actually, with the high-tech world technology. Most Israelis are not interested in anymore.
All right, you have any, Boaz, you have anything we should add?
Maybe just to elaborate about your time in Misrad HaChutz.
No, I just spent a few months in government. I left because they never accepted anything I've written. So
do you have anything to say to all the other people who speak about you on the internet, particularly the academics who write about you and never even sent an email?
Yeah, because they have all the right to think, to do what they like, but it shows also the standard of academics. People can write anything they want without responsibility, without accountability. They can, and that's a very sorry state of affairs, because politics got into this field and politics destroyed everything. People use it, so an article like mine is like potatoes for them.